And welcome back to the live morning show presented by Don Bullock Chevrolet. Special guest with me this morning. Been excited all weekend to have them come in. Susan and Lauren Driver, the mother and wife of Christopher James Batman Driver, who many of you know his story, and we've seen the Batman thing on cars and everything like that in his honor. Just a wonderful young man, passionate about his service in law enforcement and everything. So we're quite honored, honestly, ladies, to have you guys with us to take the time to talk about him and an event and a foundation that we will discuss. So, Mom, we'll start with you, Susan. I just want to give you the opportunity to talk about Christopher to you.
Yes,
right. Always Chris to his officers.
That's right.
Christopher to Mom. Mom has that special right to say, I'm calling you by your full first name. We hear that a lot from moms. I just want to give you the opportunity to talk about him. Tell us a little bit about him as a child, growing up, his loves, his passions. Just give you the opportunity to reflect on your son.
Well, Christopher's the baby of the family.
Okay.
He's also the mischievous one.
Ooh, okay. There's always got to be a mischievous.
That's right. Always the jokester, always the class clown. But always had a good heart.
Absolutely.
He didn't get in trouble just for the sake of getting in trouble. He just thought he wasn't getting in trouble. The joke is, I tell a lot of folks, is if he had been my first child, it wouldn't have been anymore.
Oh gosh. Okay. Did you tell him that?
Yes.
Okay. At least you told him that. At least he knew where you stood with that.
That's exactly right. And he also has, he always joked about there was a knot on the back of his head because of me constantly, popping him on the back of the head. So
there you go.
He was mischievous, but he was a good kid. But always had a thought process of going into law enforcement.
Okay.
I think he didn't really make that decision until about high school.
Oh wow. Okay.
But one of his loves, his favorites, was gaming. He loved to play video games.
Okay.
You could sit outside my house and hear him hollering at the video screen.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Lauren can attest to it as well. So he was a gamer to the end and was very passionate about playing video games.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting because most of the time, as I've talked to law enforcement personnel over the years, most of them kind of can think back to, I wanted to do this from a very, very young age. So you say his interest didn't really peak till high school, which takes us over here to Lauren. High school sweethearts. This is one of your favorite stories. You love hearing about high school sweethearts that actually stick together and get married.
Yeah.
Lauren, can you tell us about your relationship with Chris and what he was like as a husband?
So he was still mischievous.
I get that.
That didn't stop.
I think he was. Yeah, I can tell.
We did meet in high school. The quirkiness, the goofiness was all what attracted me to him. We instantly connected. We got along well. Similar interests. At home, definitely the same. It was kind of very go with the flow. We weren't very. Of course, we argued, but it was always the little nitpick things like, "Please pick up your trash," which I'm sure you can attest to that too.
That's right.
But I knew dating him in high school that not that he just didn't like school, but I think BLET is where he fit in best. Mm-hmm. It's what he wanted. You could tell he was passionate enough about it to do it.
Right.
So that's why he went that way. And then just coming home at night, I think the game's just kind of like a release for him, kind of a getaway, just kind of forget everything and just be in a whole different world.
Right.
As much as that world became a part of the whole house because we could all hear him, but
That's right. I totally understand. So, Susan, back to you as mom. Where do you remember one moment or a situation where it just clicked, like for him, like you knew this was the direction that he was going to go? Like, you mentioned, talking about it, but at some point you got to make the decision. And how big of an influence were you in that? Did he come to you for that type of advice? Where did it click for him, you think?
I don't know that I can remember the absolute moment. Now, I know when he was in high school, he was very interested in computers and IT, and
Okay.
he did graduate, they call it academy then, and he was really good at that. So we had talked about the possibility of him going to criminal justice and perhaps
Okay.
pursuing that into law enforcement in the IT, like forensics and
okay.
stuff. But at some point in time, he changed his mind. Oh, I remember one time he talking about the jump out boys. Yeah, there was at one time they had a group of officers who wore the all black. And they would actually jump out of vehicles. They were there's part of their special operations, I think, and they did the arrest warrants and they did the pursuing of the criminals. And I think he saw them in action a couple of times. And if I remember correctly, that's
that
when he
kinda
said,
piqued his-
that
How
kind of
about
piqued
that?
his interest in being one of the jump out boys.
I think too, not to overlay, but I think too, we've mentioned before too, we had a senior, not a senior officer, but we had an officer on staff at school, our resource officer, who was Officer Wilder at the time. I'm sure a lot of people know that name.
Yep, I do.
He kind of helped, I guess, in a sense, guide Chris, and not that he persuaded him, hey, law enforcement's the way to go, but
I gotcha.
he was who he looked up to, and I think that
Yeah.
kind of aided him in his wanting more
I
to get
agree,
involved with it.
That is super cool, and I love hearing stories about that. Love hearing stories about that. Now, we talked about the mischievous nature and just the good nature and everything like that. Everybody, well, most people have a nickname. I mean, I don't really, so but most people have a nickname. His was Batman, and many people have seen your vehicles and other vehicles with the Batman sticker since his passing. Can you talk to us about the significance of the Batman nickname? Everybody wants to. Where did that come from?
Okay, well, I guess that's my fault.
Okay, that's okay.
I'm a DC comic book fan from my teenage years.
all right.
So I
All
grew, the kids grew up watching the series, reading the comic books.
Okay.
I still have my collection.
All right, all right.
So
Don't be
it-
embarrassed about that.
It's like a big family thing, I promise you.
Everybody has collections, right? I've still got 5,000 baseball cards that my wife wants to bury in a whatever.
So eventually I geared more towards the Marvel end, but DC Comics, Superman, Batman, those were the two he kind of went towards.
Okay.
We've had a couple of Batman parties, and somewhere along the lines he just became obsessed with Batman. Birthdays, Christmas, we always were giving him
How about that?
Batman memorabilia.
Awesome.
We were talking one day after his passing, and I really contemplated why Batman, of all the superheroes that are out there, why Batman? And this came to my mind. This is what I thought about, and I think it fits.
I think it fits.
Batman is one of the few superheroes that's a regular person. He has no mutant powers. He's not a mutant. He's not an alien.
Yeah.
He was just a rich man.
Man.
Had a lot of money.
Yeah.
And with that money, he had a lot of cool toys that he
True.
bought.
True.
But he was very passionate about justice
Yep.
and wanted right to prevail.
I agree.
And I think that's, in my mind, I think that's why Christopher went towards him, because he was
How
just a
about that?
regular guy
How about that?
who just wanted to do what was right.
That is really cool.
And had all the
You-
cool toys.
Yeah, they have cool toys.
That's right. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I could actually feel your spirit when you were saying that. Like honestly, and I want to share that. I felt the reality of what you were saying, and that really proves and speaks to him as a person and what he stood for. And like I say, I've heard the stories. I've talked to many of his friends and other folks from the school. And you're right. That absolutely sums him up. Lauren, I'll go back to you with this next question. With everything we've seen with law enforcement and the way they're portrayed now, and I hate to throw a negative spin on this, but it's reality.
It is.
And during his time, we didn't necessarily deal with that to the way we do now.
Right.
And I'm just going to ask both of you, how hard is it as a mom and a wife of a law enforcement officer, a fallen officer, to watch that narrative play out in today's society. It can't be easy on your end to see the disrespect and what the media is pushing toward. Can y'all speak to that at all?
I mean, it's definitely tough now. I always sit there and you do the typical what ifs. So you wonder, like, if he was alive now, you know, how it would affect him and how it would affect his job.
Exactly.
I will say, in regards to when he passed, you know, there was always that worry of, you know, how's the community going to react, you know, especially at the time it was, were they going to rebel? And I will definitely say that this community stepped up amazingly, because there was I didn't see a bad word. I didn't see anything negative. It was always something positive about him in the community. And I don't know if we ever really thank the community enough, because I don't think we can thank them enough.
Absolutely.
But they definitely supported him. And I think if it was where he was alive, I felt like the community support would be there in the sense.
I agree.
But it is hard to see all the negative, because, you know, there's always those officers that are good, and there's some that do some things that are not that well. But it shouldn't reflect the whole community.
On everybody.
Yeah. So it's a struggle. And of course we still support our current Blue Line family.
Absolutely.
So, you know, got to make sure they're okay and they're good too.
I definitely appreciate that. Mom, did you want to add any thoughts to that? I can tell you that's an emotional thing for you as well.
It is. Christopher was good, but I'm also a mom of a current officer.
Yeah.
My oldest is a police officer as well. So I'm still a fallen officer mom, but I'm still a current law enforcement mom as well. So on both ends.
Yeah, the emotion is very high for you, and I really respect that. I love that for y'all. September 23rd, we have a huge event coming. We have been promoting that here on the morning show with a commercial in Officer Driver's honor. I'd like both of you to take a moment to kind of tell us about that event. I don't know which one of you kind of wants to outline the details, but I guess, Lauren, we can start with you or whatever. But tell us about this event and what to expect and why it means so much to your family.
So we've been planning and replanning and rescheduling, but we have finally locked in a date.
There you go.
We're going to have the Embers with Craig Woolard come and join us at the Powerhouse out at the Rocky Mountain Mills.
Awesome
we are
place.
very excited.
Awesome place.
I think the Mills is very excited too to have that event come. It's going to be a wonderful evening where we'll have the Embers playing. We got a few VIP sections, and obviously sections where you can enjoy. We'll have some memorabilia out for sale. Just time to come. I think with COVID going on, a good time to come out and just kind of get back out in the community and fellowship. I know Susan's kind of been the runner of most of it, so she could probably go more into detail.
We're going to have a silent auction.
Yes, that's true too.
We've got some lovely stuff that has been donated by our
wonderful community
and our businesses. So that's shaping up to be pretty good. We are going to have some door prizes, so people can buy tickets to win a door prize. So I think that's exciting, and hopefully, we're not sure how it's going to be promoted, but Coley Pond will be offering the EOW beer that they offered last year. I don't know, some people partake of it, but it is a beer that's been specially brewed in his memory and in his honor, and it's called the EOW.
Awesome.
And hopefully by the event it will be ready for sale.
All right. Now, if members of the community are hearing about this for the first time, how can they get tickets to the event? How can, like, a business, maybe there might be a business owner or a wife of a business owner or husband of a business owner watching right now that says, I want to help, I want to support. How can they do that towards this event?
Well, we do have a Facebook page, so you can find us on Facebook at Officer Chris Batman Memorial Fund. The event itself is on Eventbrite, so you can go on Eventbrite's website and put in an evening with the Embers, and it will come up, and you can purchase your tickets that way. There are links from his Facebook page as well for you to click on and to get tickets.
Gotcha. All right, so that is September the 23rd. What is the time of the event again?
7 to 10.
7 to 10 at the Mills. Looking forward to a great event with the band and everything like that. And as we conclude, I want to give you the opportunity to speak about the foundation in his honor as well, because one event is great, but you want ongoing support and to live on with his name and his legacy. either of you can, speak about that foundation as we conclude.
Well, my husband and I just, not too long after his passing, decided that we wanted to do something that would keep his memory alive, so that people won't forget. We do have a tendency to forget our fallen. And so we decided to come up with a foundation, but we wanted our foundation to help our community in a different way. By helping our law enforcement agencies, we therefore can help our community.
Right.
So we want to provide our law enforcement agencies with funds or anything that they need help with as far as equipment, educational needs, and any catastrophic events that any officer finds himself in. For example, I don't know if you remember, there was a Rocky Mount officer who was in an automobile accident a couple of weeks ago, was severely injured,
Yes.
and he's still at home recovering.
Right.
Well, our foundation gave him some money
Awesome.
to put towards his medical bills and his recovery.
That's great.
We're also feeding departments as well on a quarterly basis. We're making our rounds and making visits to see different law enforcement agencies, and just making ourselves known to them, because we want to help them as a group and any individual officer as well.
Absolutely.
Christopher would want that.
No doubt. Absolutely no doubt. Lauren, did you want to add anything to that as we conclude?
We just said that about he would
I
want it.
agree.
We kind of sat around the table one night and tried to figure out, if we could put it in that 30-second elevator.
Yeah.
We kind of put it into the whole, we want to continue doing what he would have done, because if roles had been reversed and God forbid someone else had been in this predicament, he would have been at every meeting he could attend. He would want to help out. He'd want to
No
help
doubt.
them reach out to the community
No
too. So we
doubt.
want to continue doing what he would have done.
No doubt. Well, I can honestly say this, and I really appreciate the opportunity to meet both of you incredible women. The people that I have spoken to, just the accolades and the praise that have been heaped upon your husband and your son are unlike anything I've experienced. You're exactly right. I felt like I knew him from the people that have shared thoughts about him, and I can no doubt was incredible man, and I appreciate you two taking the opportunity to come and be with us today. Once again, September 23rd, the event in honor of Officer Christopher James, Batman Driver. Please support it.
Absolutely.
Go to Eventbrite, purchase your tickets. Go to the Facebook page and do whatever you can. And this is the ultimate sign of respect for our law enforcement and those personnel that put their lives on the line for us each and every day. So please, on behalf of us at the station, support this wonderful event. Susan and Lauren, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your time, for being
Appreciate it.
here.
Thank you.
This has been very uplifting to me as well as our viewers. When we return, we will get a final look at weather, and Lynn will rejoin us and wrap things up here on today's edition of the Live Morning Show, brought to you by Don Bullock Chevrolet. Stay with us.